Hello folks, welcome back to Feldy. You know, it's been a long time since I've recorded an episode in here, and you may recall the last time I recorded was over by the sheep. I think we were harvesting some red clover that was on the hill, and I have just done a ton of work off cam. Basically under the premise that this is getting long in the tooth and probably nobody wants to see it anymore. I don't know. I just have a short list of things that I'd still like to do on here. And as you can see, I've completed harvest here for the most part. Although I have one area over here, one more field. If you can look, see where the arrow is pointing in the island that was created over here. There's a field of corn up on top of it. And I know one of the things on my to-do list is to harvest it recorded at least once. So there's something new coming. Now, in order to do that, I got the combine sitting up here. Matter of fact, let me just get this puppy turned around. Please stay attached, header. I could take this down there and harvest it in corn, or I could do part of it at least in silage. So maybe I'll fill the silage bunkers first, and then I'll fill it or take care of the rest if there is more left in corn. It's a pretty large field. I maybe should have made it more than one field. So I imagine it'll fill the silage bunker no problem. But at some point, now as I get this turned around, I'm going to need to get this hauled down over the hill. Maybe I can do that off cam. But something else, I'll maybe just leave it here. Let me go to my forager, which is sitting over here. Here's something I wanted to point out too. I still have the windrow pickup header on this thing. And I'll just raise this out. I gotta say, I'm fairly pleased. You may recall I was having some trouble with the red clover field in particular. Every time I picked it up, it was more and more streaks would appear in the field. When you look out here, you can still see some of the streaks. So I think I have that fixed, and it all has to do with the script that I put on this header. Actually, maybe it's this header and also another one that I put on the windrower itself. And it cuts out here. Now it starts to regrow. But on this one here in particular, maybe we'll just go look at it real quick. It's kind of maybe hard to see. Maybe it won't be too bad. We're close to the ground here. But there's a little gravel spot coming into this field, or there was. And you can see it here, and you go in here, you can kind of see the gravel underneath if you use your imagination a little bit. So what I'm seeing is when that header goes down, and I must have put it down right here as we started the field, it replanted where there wasn't any there to begin with. So it's just my ineptitude at Lewis scripting, and it means that the underside of the header is planting wherever it's dropped. So in theory, I probably could pretend I was harvesting a strip out here in the gravel, and it probably would start planting red clover, in areas where I don't want it. So I'm gonna have to work on it. Maybe I'll work on it, maybe I won't. Not sure how much longer I'll be in this app, and very few, i.e. this one is the only one I'm aware of, very few have something like red clover in it, so the script that I came up with is probably only applicable to Feldy anyways, and it isn't going to be released. So And I probably won't do anything on it, but for the moment, let me take this here, and you know, what I don't know is just, maybe I can use this. You know, the last time that I harvested corn silage, chaff, if you will, I used an entirely different machine. And the problem was that I had that was finally fixed, I think in the most recent video that I recorded. I'm going to have to give this guy a wide berth. And that issue was the pipe didn't turn. You know, and it's been the bane of air. As long as I've been in here, I've had to be so careful, you know, using this thing. And it was just kind of annoying because the turret on this thing wouldn't rotate. Well, finally, we figured out how to... Let me get rid of this annoying box here. We finally figured out how to fix that, so I was able to get rid of one of the forage harvesters, which is nice. So, but what I don't think that I have, or I'm not seeing it here... I can't remember if I purchased the other kind of header or not. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to drop, or I'm going to attempt to drop the front, oops, there we go. Dump that. We're going to go shopping here briefly. Scroll down and see if we can get proper header that we need. That one's for corn. There's a forage harvester. Right here. Okay, well, we'll see here. Okay, we don't have one. Alright, I'm gonna get one. And, oh shoot, of course I put it in a totally different direction. Drop my trailer. Yeah, last time I used the trailer right to the right of the machine here, and I honestly don't remember how much it held, but it was kind of convenient to have a tractor pulling it alongside so I could hire this thing. And so anyway, I'll give it a try with this one here, which is the one Yip designed for Feldy, and we'll see how it does on silage. Let me put this down for transport mode. I'm already fueled up. Actually, you know what? When this thing gets a moving, it scoots right along in its own right. So, shoot, I don't know. I guess it would make it a little bit easier if I don't have to have a tractor over there pulling it. But it is kind of nice to leave it in the field, so you can just drive the chaff over to the BGA. I don't think I need any more for the cattle. That's something I discovered the last episode that I did. I ran out of grass for the poor things. Let me see what I have in here for... scrape all the bushes. Cows, silage clamp, corn silage, 161, 471. Yeah, okay, so now they have plenty of pseudo silage that we never had to. You know what? I'm gonna just drive through the field here. There is no crop in it, so I'm not harming anything or anybody. And we'll just kind of sneak out onto the road. I think if I go to the bottom of the hill, does this thing have any blinkers? Indicators? Nope. And who's the ditzel to put traffic on the map? Yeah, that was me. But I think down at the bottom here that there's a path to get over to the new field. Another car. I'm just kidding. I like the traffic. Here we go. I'm going to just slow down so I don't end up in the drink. Probably should have put some guardrails on there. That'd be handy. I'll come out across here. Haven't even been out here in a while. Kind of an imposing... Yeah, it should all be ready to harvest. Definitely looks ready over there. I'm proud of this island. Hopefully Farmer Yip, if he ever sees this, would like it too. And it keeps things in the spirit of all things Feldy. You know, I can't even remember if I mentioned this before in this series. I almost think I looked up Feldy on a Scottish map one time, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, it is actually a place. You know, whether it looks like this map or not, I don't know. Oh, don't go in the ditch. It is so hard to make a smooth road going up a hill. At least for me. Alright, let's get this show on the road. That's kind of cool. I always love it when there's additional animation. Although, I gotta say, this looks like the opposite of what it should be, doesn't it? Doesn't it look like the L would carry material away from the middle? Unless it's just going so fast. No, yeah, it's only got one speed. See, these look turning appropriately. You would want it to turn in. This one is turning in. I don't know what these turn in real life. Just seems a little odd. Seems like an auger would be taking it towards the center, but what do I know? Well, we'll just take a tootle around the outside. Ah ha ha ha. That is satisfying. You know, it isn't quite as wide as the other header, but that's alright. At least now we have the spout pointing the right way, namely always at the trailer. Very, very helpful. So as you can see, this is... Oh, come on, get up there. Yeah. There's a sec... I don't know what does that. One of these places may take me down over the hill if it's that big. But as you can see in here, it's a pretty good-sized field, so we are going to be in here for a while. And frankly... You know, maybe what I'll do is I get up top here. Maybe I can put the field into two separate lands. Maybe once I get up here by this field island, I can cut across. I could drive straight. I'm leaving too many corn stalks. Alright, we're going to cut across here. That way we have a path kind of coming through here, so we don't have to smash the crop and stuff like that there. You know, I think I'm going to have a lot of trailer loads. Across. I don't know if that's approximately where I was. Yeah, give or take. Come up here. Yeah, this has to be in the spirit of Feldy. This is pretty steep, if I do say so myself. I have no idea if they farm this way in Scotland, but the ad is quite a view out over the vast ocean. Of course, we can see down here on our wharf with the barges coming in, getting pushed in by the tugs. Alright, so I got around here. I guess I could have made him maybe to the top of the island. Just trying to figure out kind of where the first round would get a full trailer load. But this will be alright. Yeah, this is where multiplayer would definitely help things. And I'm going to need to do probably a couple rounds. Although I could probably, well, maybe do a couple rounds down here on the bottom side at least. Depending which direction I hire this, I could, I just don't want it to fall in the water. That'd be just my luck. This is pretty picturesque too, if I do say so myself. Well, if I could hold the camera steady. Sorry, hopefully I didn't give anybody vertigo. Almost full. You know, and other times I've used this. Yeah, I've dropped the trailer, had a tractor pick it up. I wish this would auto stop. You know, I'm sensing, I don't know that this thing is hireable now that I think on it. So basically, if I want to use this, I'm going to have to do it all, so I guess what I'm seeing is I need to drive it back myself, because I'm not sure I can hire it. I'm going to try to hire it again when I bring it back out here. But I'm pretty sure you could hire it if it was full even. But I don't think it wants to be hired. But, you know, I mean, this is one area maybe we can mod a little bit and make it hireable. Doesn't seem like it should take much. And maybe some of it isn't so much the unit itself, but rather the header, to make sure that it has hireable markers on it so that it knows where to cut to. So I was looking over my list of things that I want to do in here yet, and I know I went over the list one other time, but I have a bunch of manure and slurry, you know, by virtue of having cattle, and also from having processed some silage at the BGA. So I want to put that on the fields. Wanted to harvest the new island field. Of course, we're in the middle of doing just that. I also want to make some granular fertilizer. So in order to do that, I need to do, I think I better come this way. Even if it's a little further, it gets me out on the road quicker. But in order to make granular fertilizer, and I think I have a little bit already, but I'm going to need to do some mining. I need to get some rock. I need to make some silica, And I've already been doing a little bit of that off cam. My chicken cars coming. What a farce, huh? Hauling a loaded silage wagon uphill and passing these cars. Okay, here's going to be a feat. There we go, cut him off. Ah, I do have a beacon. Alright, I can at least use that. I don't have indicator lights. I can turn the old beacon on. So I'm just learning that it's cumbersome to make the granular stuff. There's a whole lot more steps involved, so I don't know that I'll make a lot of it, but I do want to make some. And I've already been working on that off cam, hauling raw materials, if you will, to over to the factory. Sure seems like I could just scoot him along. There we go. Oh, the things we could never get away with in real life. It's quite a long haul over here to get over to the BGA. Lots of twists and turns. I'm looking at my list. Oh, sorry, car. Okay, we'll get off the main drag. I've thought of modding something with the cattle. I know I've mentioned it before, but kind of like the static cattle that are sitting here, making it so no cattle appear until they're made by putting feed in there. And the sound, kind of like I did for the hogs. Oh, it's a long ways to come over here. Anyway, I want to, there's a special mission that I gotta figure out. I think I know what it entails. Hey, oh, there it is. I was like, where is the plane? I didn't even look to see how much I'm carrying when it's full. I almost have a feeling this hauls less than that other trailer. Anyway, it'll be what it'll be. So there's a special mission. I don't think I've done eggs yet. I have hauled some wheat over to the chickens, so I know I'm close in what I need to do over there. But I think I still owe them another ingredient. Maybe it's chaff. I think it takes water, chaff, and wheat, and it'll produce eggs. So, and some notes that I see in the manual seem to indicate that eggs are required in the special mission. Matter of fact, I think the special mission takes eggs, it takes ham, so in other words, pig, I assume. And what else does it take? Chips. That's potatoes, right? So yeah, so I definitely need to grow potatoes again. I haven't grown that much, mainly because it's pretty painful trying to harvest root crops in here, but there's one, now that I have an endless supply of money practically, I can start affording better equipment that'll make it easier. So I think I'm going to give that a try. So I want to grow some more spuds, and then I think if I have all those, it'll help me fulfill the final mission. Let me see if this thing can go down here. This is kind of a twist and turn route. Maybe I can make it work. Stay off of the road. They're kind of overlooking the kelp bed. I think I'm going to be making some more kelp fertilizer. It's just so easy. Oops. You just go down, collect a little kelp, and mix some biofuel with the kelp, and you get fertilizer. Pretty short and sweet, easy peasy done. In some ways, you almost wonder if it would have This is no knock on Farmer Yip or anything, not intended to be, but after playing it as long as I have, you almost wonder if it'd be more interesting to force the player to make granular fertilizer first, and then have the kelp beds open, to make it a little bit easier later, but, I don't know. It's just fine the way it is, too. Through these sheer cliffs. This is a long haul. This field is... It's gonna be a pain, because... Oh, I'm gonna end up in the ditch. There we go. We put it in four-wheel drive and got out. I think I'm just going to start another path over here. Yeah, get not too fast. And we'll take another run here. Another thing I know I've mentioned several times, but I think my combine's days are numbered. I have a couple hillside combine mods that I want to give a try to. Oh, here, before I go any further, let me see, can I hire? Nope. Yeah, I'm going to have to do a little modding off cam to get this hireable. Surely we can do that. So anyway, I've been working on a couple hillside combines. One of them mainly. One is so broken that I just don't have the energy to fix it all. And I want to add autopilot to it, so I'm trying to work on that. And I think I'm going to need to add a couple other crops. Well, maybe I don't need to. I guess all it needs added is OSR. So, and that is converted to rape, I think, by the special header that we have. So maybe nothing needs to be done on that. But anyway, I hope the next harvest I can use a hillside combine and finally have some help on the hills. And it'll be rudimentary at best, and it's gonna flop around like crazy, because I've already tested it a time or two, but I don't know, I'll give it a try. And I don't know, it's getting harder and harder to find Farm Sim 11 odds out there. But I've considered whether there may be any to give a try to. I don't know. If you're aware of some that would be interesting on a map like this, please do comment if you want. Alright, let me... Is this enough space? He just treacherously drops off, so I want to make sure I give this fella, although I think on it now, I was trying to create room so that you could hire this thing and it wouldn't go off the edge. So maybe I will save that for a later video, assuming I can get the hiring working. So we'll just at least create enough space so that he can do just that. This trailer is similar size to the other one, so maybe, or the other yellow trailers, if you will, the ones that Yip designed for this particular map, or that he adapted. So, maybe I'm carrying enough. Because the reality is, if I had the combine going, although the difference with the combine is I can hire it and it can keep combining while I'm driving away. That's the disadvantage of cutting all this silage and hauling it so far. So yeah, maybe I'll only cut silage here, this bottom part, and you can see kind of where I'm cutting over. I'm taking maybe a third of the field, give or take. Saved by the bell from any more boring commentary, but I would like to hire this thing. So I think I'm going to step out of game anyhow as soon as this video is over and try to fix it so she can be hired. And then, speaking of mods, there's one last mod that I'll probably use on here when I'm all done. And it's this little airplane. I don't know if anybody's ever noticed it when we've gone through the store. I'm pretty sure it works. It's a little ticklish to run, and we don't really have an airstrip on here. But you know what? We'll make it work anyhow. So, almost done, and maybe for this one we are. Just heard the bell. I will see you all on the next one. Goodbye for now.